Okay, what are we here for then? What's the plan? What's the plan?
I sort of advertises Vajrasattva.
Advertisers Vajrasattva. Okay, well, see what happens. It's New Year's, isn't it? We have a new mayor. Let's see if he can do anything. Let's see if they don't sit on top of him too much. So then when what's all the snacks then? Is it a party, Sheila? What
Yes,
have you
it's a
got?
New Year's party. So welcome everybody. Welcome to Shantideva. Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you for coming. Robina, thank you so much for
What are the snacks?
snacks. We have tart, we have fruit, we have tea.
Have we got what? Fruit,
Tea, and tart, apple tart.
a tart. Enough for everybody?
I think so. And if not, we have more supplies downstairs.
Huh?
Yes, I think there's plenty.
A tart big enough for all these people. That's a big tart. Right. Well, okay. What to talk about then? I don't know. Vajrasattva. So why would we do Vajrasattva then? What is all that about? Why would we do that? Well, we did the same thing for the San Francisco Center last night, and the day before we did the thing for the same thing for the center in Geneva, I think. And what I talked about is I don't know. We talked about how we turn ourselves into the person we want to become. I think I want to talk about that. I remember I always quote this, but it's interesting. Let's just look at it. I remember Lama Zopa said, the vast majority of all people on the planet have absolutely no idea that what goes on in their mind plays any role at all in their lives. Now that just sounds a bit shocking, doesn't it? I mean, we think he's out of his brain to say such a thing, but what does it mean? Well, I think it's true. I mean, I think let's put it in context. What Buddha's saying is, they don't say it like this in the Indian text. They don't say it this way in the Tibetan text. This is saying it in a Western way and down to earth way, that basically we create ourselves. Dalai Lama says karma is like self-creation. Now, when it comes to being a musician, we know that's true. When it comes to being a mathematician, we know that's true. When it even comes just to being a cook or a car driver, we know that's true. We don't say it that way, but we create the car driver. We create the cook. And how do you do it? By learning theories, thoughts. It comes from your mind. You think a certain way. You think, you learn steering wheel, left, right, brake, accelerator. You put all these theories together, these concepts. You put a series of thoughts together that then your body puts into action. That's how you create a car driver. It starts with the mind. How you create a musician is exactly the same. We don't say it this way, but it's really obvious. So we know the mind is the main player. And we know that the words, the theories are incredibly important to get absolutely accurate. We know that. We know that. We just don't say, oh, I can put 17 eggs if I feel like it. We know that. You learn the recipe, you'll decide, or you make your own, but there has to be logic to it, and you've got to be precise, and clear, and the thoughts have to be absolutely accurate, and then your hands have to do the job of putting that around in order to get the result. Car driver, carpenter, cook. We understand that. But when it comes to being a happy person and a suffering person, that we have no idea. And that's what Vajrasattva means. That the vast majority of all humans on the planet have absolutely no idea when it comes to being a happy person and a suffering person, that their mind plays any role at all. And I think we look into our lives and I think we believe this. We think this. We live according to this. So what do we think causes happiness instead? Well, it's the things out there, isn't it? The cake and the sounds, the objects of the senses. You wake up in the morning, the first thing you meet is the objects of the senses, and they have to be the shape that we want them to be. We don't think our mind can decide. The coffee has to be the right, according to the coffee has to be the right shape, the right color, the right tint, the right temperature. Everything has to be the right object of the senses. So it's the external world that we spend our lives manipulating to make it just so, because we think that's how we get happiness and that's how we stop suffering. And that's how all sentient beings live their lives, the dogs and the monkeys and the humans. But you think of it from that perspective, it's kind of fascinating. We know the importance of the mind when it comes to being a carpenter, but not when it comes to being happy. We know it's important coming to be a cook, but not when it comes to suffering, because we think it's the outside world. And that's a fact. This is proof that our lives are facts. Our lives are proof of this. The moment the temperature is wrong, we don't think it's our mind that plays a role. It's the external event. So all Buddha's saying is it's the other way around. For being happy, just like being a carpenter, you can mold your mind into the shape of a carpenter, and you can mold your behavior, your body into the shape of a carpenter based on what the mind thinks. Same with happiness. That's it. That's all he's saying. That's it. That's what he's saying. So if that's true, then what kind of thoughts create happiness, and what kind of thoughts create suffering? Well, for the Buddha, what he's found is that positive thoughts, virtuous thoughts, programming your mind with virtuous thoughts is the method to get happy. It mightn't be immediate result in the same way that you don't drive a car perfectly just for the first time you think it. It takes time to practice. Same here. So it's happy thoughts, virtuous thoughts that produce a happy person in the long term. Not just this life, but future lives. That's it. That's all he's saying. That's all he's saying. And stopping the negative thoughts is the method to stop happiness, stop suffering, because they're the cause of suffering. That's what he's saying. It's not a complicated concept. It's just that we don't think it, that's all. And it's hard, even when we do hear it, it's hard because we're addicted. We're addicted to the habits we've got. Following the negative thoughts, following the unhappy thoughts, following the jealous thoughts, the depressed thoughts, the low self-esteem thoughts. So we've got to get some confidence. It's quite hard. To get some confidence in this. So, of course, it's the long term that he's talking from the big picture point of view in Buddhism. He's talking about, countless past lives, and the main causes of the type of life that we've got now. The main causes are our mind, the programming we did in our mind in the past. That's what caused us to get a human body, and it caused us to have certain tendencies, and caused us to meet certain people, and caused to have certain things happen to us, whether they're happy or suffering. The main causes of all of these, the main causes of the way the weather impacts upon us, the main cause of how the food impacts upon us, the main cause of how people see us and treat us and like us or not like us, the main cause of how everything impacts upon us, and the main cause of the type of tendencies we have in our mind, and the main cause of the type of body we got, and the main cause of the parents, we've got all the rest. The main cause of all of this is our own past mind, our own past thoughts. That's what Buddha's view is. And it's got nothing to do with punishment or reward. No one did it to us. We did it to us. That's what he's saying. We're the boss. Of course, this is not evident. It's not the world's view. It's not the materialist philosophical view. It's not the Christian view. It's not the Muslim view. This is Buddha's view. It's his observation. So the bottom line is, he's saying, if you want to be happy, this is his method. So what he said he's done. He's telling us from his own experience, this is what he has done to turn him into a happy person. And of course, there's levels of happiness. The long-term result is what they call a Buddha, where the mind is completely perfected in virtue and wisdom, and all the neuroses are gone completely. That's the final result of a happy person. But there's levels of happiness before we get there. So it's learning to have confidence in it. I mean, we won't do it if we don't have confidence. We won't, if you think you can't, if you unless you have confidence in that theory, you're not going to try and make a cake. It's easy to prove it, though. With cakes, it's easy because you can see someone else's cake. Oh, I'd like to do that one as well. But same with people. That's why it's important to have people in front of us who are said to be the proof of the pudding of being a Buddhist, of programming their mind in virtue. So it's encouraging to have people like that in front of us so we can see as examples the proof of the pudding, quite literally there. It's too abstract otherwise. But we've got to have some more confidence even just in our own, even immediate results. We can't see the long-term results. That's very abstract. To think that an action's done in a mind before I came to this body, in a mind that's the same mind as the one that's in this body now, that's pretty abstract for us. That's pretty abstract. But I think, how can we learn to see there are some benefits? How can we learn to see now to give us some confidence in practicing virtue? Do we have to wait in the future for seeing that result? I don't think so. I don't think so. So we look at the Buddha's view of the mind, his Buddha's analysis of the contents of the mind. He divides very simply into three categories. And the main two categories are the neurotic, deluded, ridiculous states of mind and the virtuous, positive, useful, productive states of mind. My feeling is almost immediately there. If we look at how we feel when we're angry, depressed, jealous, anxious, I think it's immediate. It's immediately evident. It's horrible. It's immediately evident that it's very distressing. They make us feel very distressed. I think we can see that. And if you practice being kind and patient and loving and generous, I think it's easy to see the benefit to oneself. Or even if not even that's not enough proof. If you're on the receiving end of someone else's kindness, it feels very nice. If you're on the receiving end of someone else's anxiety, it's not pleasant. You want to go away. You don't want to be near them. So I think we can learn to prove ourselves experientially the benefit of practicing virtuous thoughts and stopping practicing negative thoughts. It's good enough to actually get to see that this can actually produce another person in the future. That's a bit abstract, I agree. But the teachings are all there. The logic of it is all in the text. It's all in it's all in the literature. It's all there. And the experiences of those who've done it. It's in all the literature there since the time of the Buddha. It's up to us to look into it. But it's hard to do it because we are so addicted to the feeling that we are a victim. This is the thing, is the feeling of being this self-pity. Lama Yeshe calls the ego self-pity me. It sounds very cruel, but it's very strong. And the feeling we have, even almost like you don't even need to be taught that someone else made you to have the feeling of being a victim. The feeling, whether we believe in it, whether we think our mother made us or somebody called a creator, we don't think either of those thoughts. When we're accused of something or when something bad happens, as a little child, when we observe how we feel. It feels like, how dare you do that to me? I don't deserve it. That's very instinctive. No one taught us that. It arises very strongly. The monkeys feel that. You can see in their body language. How dare you do that to me? That's my food, Because this is the programming of ego, Buddha says, the programming of the negative states of mind. And one of the deepest manifestations of the root delusion, the root of the problems, the root misconception, this primordial, so subtle, so hard to see, this primordial feeling of being a separate, concrete, set in stone me, that in its nature is a victim of someone else's conspiracy theories, We say it, I didn't ask to get born. Therefore, it's not my fault. Or when the moment anybody, does something bad to us, the feeling so strong of how dare you do that to me, I don't deserve it. The feeling of don't deserve is such a powerful one. Your mother doesn't have to teach you that. And this, Buddha would say, this is from the practice of these thoughts, this type of philosophical viewpoint of the ego, this philosophical viewpoint of attachment and anger, rooted in the root delusion, so primordially programmed within us, automatic, practiced from countless lifetimes, he says, of believing in those viewpoints. Because basically we all walk around life with a viewpoint. We just don't realize it. People who are materialists, they say, I don't believe in anything. That's very shocking to say that. Everybody has everybody's mind walking through, every single being, an ant, a dog, a human, every single person, our mind is full of viewpoints, and we act according to those viewpoints. There are a series of assumptions deep in our bones. And when they're really deeply ingrained in us, we assume they're truth. We don't even think they're a view. A person who says, I don't believe in anything, what they mean is that their mind is the brain and their mother made them. They don't think that's a viewpoint. They don't think that's a belief. They don't think that's a belief. That's a fact. And that's how deep delusions are. Whatever we think is true, it's just it's not even a viewpoint. It's just, this is how it is. That's how deep the delusions are. Everybody has a view. And what Buddha is saying is we need to unpack those views, to look at these assumptions. So the view of not deserving, is a very deep instinctive view, and that's the view of anger. And then the other one, the view of deserving happiness, is the view of attachment. You can unpack those simple words, attachment and aversion, which are really the ones that run the show. They're the main voices of ego, according to Buddha. They're the main voices of ego. The assumption that I deserve only happiness. And even that shows how schizophrenic that is, schizophrenic, dualistic. Lama Yeshe would use that word. Don't be insulted. Dualistic view, it assumes a dualistic view. When I say I deserve happiness, we all say it, we feel it, but it's a very bizarre concept. Deserve implies that there's someone out there who should be giving me happiness. I deserve happiness. We think it's called our human right. We all have this human right to get happiness. That means there's someone out there who's supposed to give it to us. And of course, we assume it's our parents. They made us. It's their job, That's why we're so shocked when we discover we have a mother who's not a saint. As soon as we discover a mother who's less than perfect, that is beyond shocking to us, beyond shocking, because we have an assumption, if they make me, because we feel I deserve happiness, we feel I only deserve good things. No one teaches us that. That's the assumption of attachment, the hubris of attachment. It's there all the time. So when the bad thing happens, the biggest shock is I don't deserve it. That's why we suffer so badly. That's why we suffer so badly. That's why we suffer so badly. When bad things happen, the immediate response is the shock. How dare that happen to me? I don't deserve it. That's the trauma we all experience. And that's because of aversion, which is the response when attachment doesn't get what it wants. And both of these are the main voice of the deepest view, the deepest misconception, the deepest assumption of a separate, concrete, set in stone I. These are all misconceptions, Buddha says, deep in the bones of our being. And we've been practicing these thoughts, these philosophies for countless lifetimes. And he says they're misconceptions. And these are the root of our suffering. These are the root of our suffering. They're philosophical viewpoints, deeply ingrained. And this is the source of why monkeys and ants suffer as well. Same, they're in there too, in their mind. Practice to perfection. So it's easy to say negative thoughts cause suffering and positive thoughts cause happiness, but to try and to actually practice this is tremendously hard. So we have to have some conviction, some confidence in these ideas. To unpack our minds, but to go deep inside. This is really being a Buddhist, unpacking all these assumptions, unpacking our assumptions, understanding at a most sophisticated level the assumptions of all these misconceptions in the mind and questioning them, seeing their fault, not in a guilty way, but in a revelationary way, because you want to try and find out what causes happiness and what causes suffering. This is why the very first level of practice is having even just the theory of the view of karma, which is the exact opposite of the self-pity me, the exact opposite of the innocent victim, the exact opposite of the dualistic view of someone else made me. It's the exact opposite. But I'm the product of my own thoughts. I'm the product of my own programming. I'm the creator. Beginning with that one. That's the first one. This can be incredibly, incredibly encouraging because it stops the feeling of being a victim. This panic that, this constant panic that only good things should happen. And somehow someone else is supposed to do them to me. We're kind of sitting here waiting for people to be kind, when we're waiting for people to be good to us. I deserve happiness. I deserve happiness. And we're living in fear of the bad things happening because we don't deserve those. And we don't know where they come from. It's like a conspiracy theory, and we're trying to find the person who runs the conspiracy. We can never find out who it is. That's what conspiracies are. They're just nonsense. There's no conspiracy. It's all cause and effect. It's all dependent arising. When we understand this, less fear. There's less fear, less drama, less suffering, less panic when bad things happen, less greed for good things to happen. This is Buddha's view. We create our own selves. So one thing is virtuous thoughts, loving compassion and kindness, but the other one is wise thoughts. And the ones and even the virtuous thoughts are why they're valid thoughts is because they're rooted in wisdom. They're rooted in dependent arising. Wisdom is dependent arising. This is the reality, that the reality is dependent arising. No one made it up. Reality is dependent arising. Reality is that things exist interdependently. That's reality. So things that are rooted in reality, virtues are rooted in reality. Delusions are not rooted in reality. The delusions are rooted in non-reality, which is why they cause suffering. When things are rooted in reality, there's no suffering. So reality is dependent arising. Everything exists interdependently. When bits and pieces are all working together nicely, you get a working computer. When all the bits and pieces of the flower and the earth and the soil and the water and the bits and pieces all work nicely, you get a nice rose. When two people are working together harmoniously, it's because virtue is prevailing. As soon as non-virtue is prevailing between two people, it's jagged and everything's broken and jagged and painful because it's unreality. There's no reality there. Delusions are rooted in unreality. That's why they cause suffering. There's no such thing as a set in stone, permanent, inherent anything. So believing in that is why we suffer. So practicing the very first stages of getting some wisdom is to practice virtue. Patience is a sense of connectedness with another person. Kindness and patience are connected to another person. There's a sense of interdependence. That's why so it's rooted in wisdom. That's why it's pleasing. That's why it's pleasing. That's why it causes happiness. When things are rooted in wisdom, in reality, that's why they cause happiness. And that's why virtues are, relatively speaking, valid. This is common sense. Wisdom just means common sense. It's not moralistic. It's practical. So getting in touch with reality is the method to get happy. That's what Buddha's saying. We suffer now because we're not in touch with reality. We're in touch with non-reality. We're in touch with everything being concrete, set in stone, unchanging, permanent, uncaused. It's fantasy. It's all fantasy. That's why we suffer. Buddha is saying that ignorance, there's a root delusion called ignorance, but all the others are rooted in that root one. So the root one, the root maripa, the root one, the primordial one, that there's an intrinsic separate I and everything else. And then on the basis of this is attachment and all the other delusions, they're rooted in that unreality. And they all have the character of being ignorant. They're not reality. It's like thinking 1 + 1 is 3. They're not reality. That's why they cause suffering. Not being in touch with reality is why we suffer. So getting in touch with reality, starting even with virtue. Virtues are rooted in reality. They're rooted in interdependence. That's why they cause happiness. And delusions cause suffering because they're not rooted in reality. They're rooted in non-reality. And this reality the Buddha's talking about isn't something he's made up. You don't make up emptiness and then plonk it on things. You don't make up dependent arising. He didn't make up dependent arising and then put it on top of things. Dependent arising and emptiness are within the things. They're staring at us. Emptiness is not hidden. Emptiness is the reality of everything staring at us. It's right there, staring at us. We're as blind as bats. We can't see it because we've got our own view in front, misconceptions in front that blind us from seeing reality, like we're colorblind. Blue presents itself to you, but because you're colorblind, green appears. Blue is not hiding. Emptiness is not hiding from us. Dependent arising is not hiding. Reality is not hiding from us. It's because of the habit of believing in the misconceptions. They cause things to appear back to us wrongly. Reality is right there, staring at us, in things, as they exist. Suchness, that's how things are. But we're as blind as bats. And then we believe in our misconceptions. And we've been believing in these misconceptions for a long time, Buddha says. We are addicted to them. We're believing in them for so long that they appear back to us like that. It's like you've been 50, you see 50, there's a $50 note there, but you've so long believed it's 500 that it even appears 500 to you. That cake seen through the lenses of attachment appears according to your attachment, not according to its reality. That's why it's so hard to change the mind. Because everything appears back to us, Lama Zopa says, everything appears back to us. And the way they say it in the text is according to the aspect of what's in our mind. So if 500 is in your mind, that $50 note will appear 500. That cake will appear according to the attachment in your mind. The attachment in your mind paints a picture of exaggerated, embellished deliciousness. That's why we suffer. So we have to change our minds. That's the cause of happiness. Getting wisdom is the cause of happiness. Getting in touch with reality is the cause of happiness. That's Buddha's approach. They say, the mind is like a mirror. Our mind is like a mirror. Whatever's out there appears to us as a reflection. This is a really interesting concept. We think everything is existing out there from its own side, having nothing to do with my mind at all. I'm this innocent victim just observing this ugly thing or that beautiful thing. We believe our mind, this is what Lama Zopa means, we don't think our mind plays any role at all. We think there is a thing out there existing as it appears to us. And we think our mind is this innocent victim observing this truth. There is a delicious cake out there. There is an ugly person out there. We don't think our mind plays any role at all. This is why it's so important when we think about these so-called delusions and the so-called virtues. There's two categories of states of mind, really. It's not complicated. Millions of thoughts and feelings and emotions in here. We can divide them all into two categories. The neurotic, I-based, deluded ones that in their nature cause pain because they're not in touch with reality. And those that are valid, relatively speaking, even just relatively speaking, valid. That are rooted in, relatively speaking, rooted in some kind of relative reality. The source of happiness. So to begin to understand, to see the character, to begin to hear, to see the character of the neuroses is the first step. The first character, the two main characteristics of all the delusions. One is that they're disturbing, and that's the very first one to prove. Check the last time you're anxious or depressed or jealous. It's extremely distressing. Right there, extremely distressing. But when we start to get in touch and dig deep into those states of mind and start to hear the conceptual stories, that those states of mind are, that's how we can see that they're exaggerated and distorted and are not valid. Not valid, not meaning you're not allowed to have them, but not valid insofar as there being a misrepresentation of the cake or the event. But we've believed in them for so long, we can't see that. And because they're driven by the emotion, that's why attachment is such a strong one to see. Attachment is multifaceted, primordially deep. Emotional hunger, constantly there. Never feeling as we've got enough. Always something's missing. Always hungry for something more. And whatever we do get, it's never enough. Bottomless pit of dissatisfaction. then to see how it manifests when there's an object. That's when we can see the actual function of attachment in being a misconception. Well, the delusions are disturbing, but they're misconceptions insofar as they are a conceptual thought that exaggerates the status of the thing. Aversion exaggerates the ugly status of something, exaggerates it, embellishes it. Attachment exaggerates the deliciousness of something. Pride exaggerates our self-importance. Low self-esteem exaggerates our lack of self-importance. They're all distorted. These negative states of mind are distorted. They're not accurate assessment. They're not valid assessments. They're not wise. They're distorted. They exaggerate. They embellish. And they're totally miserable. So it's like a map of the mind, you know. These Indians, they're the genius Indians, well before the Buddha, they're the ones who mapped the mind first. They developed this incredible technique called shine, shamatha, single point of concentration, this ingenious, sophisticated level of clarity and a precise state of mind, concentrated state of mind that's unknown still in modern scientific views, unknown. Until you've done single point of concentration itself. These Indians invented it 3,000 years ago. They discovered it. They didn't invent it. They discovered it. They discovered the mind. They dug deep and discovered the incredible genius, the capability of our mind to be stable and focused and subtle. And then they mapped the mind. They mapped the mind. They mapped the mind internally. And that's what we have to do. Internal, it's an internal thing. A microscope won't help. We're not discussing the brain here. We're discussing the internal subjective cognitive process itself. That's why we have to, that's why we have to meditate. Get some concentration so we can unpack and unravel. There's chaos in here. Begin to make sense of it. Identify all the pieces. Hear the stories each of them says, and argue with them, the misconceptions, by using the wisdom ones to argue with them. This is how you sort out your mind. This is what being a Buddhist means. This is what being a Buddhist is. This is the wisdom wing. This is how you turn yourself into a happy person. It's wisdom, super incredible wisdom. Don't just cross your fingers and hope for the best. Demands incredible clarity, incredible precision, incredible accuracy to know your own mind. Using this model as your map. Identifying the different pieces and recognizing the parts that cause you pain and seeing the logic of why they cause you pain, to see how they embellish. They're not in touch with reality. And learning to use your wisdom states of mind, your wise states of mind, to argue with them. That's how you sort your mind out. That's how you become happy right now. Forget the future. That's how you turn yourself into a happy person. So of course, there's all these different practices. If we look into the Buddhist view, all these different so-called the themes, all the practices that seem to have a religious component. What we're discussing here is pure psychology, pure, unadorned psychology, the most sophisticated psychology you could ever imagine. Nothing to do with the brain, nothing to do with looking at what your boyfriend did or your mother did. You're doing this internal unpacking of your own conceptual stories. It's unbelievably brilliant, It's got nothing to do with what your mother said, your father did, your brother did, and all the rest. Nothing to do with any of that. It's your own internal work, your own internal conceptual stories that your emotions are rooted in, informed by. This is the job of being a Buddhist. So then you've got all these other practices, we have to see the logic of them as well. Is there logic to them? Or are they just a bunch of religious ideas, like living in vows, for example. Well, like I say, in daily life, we all live in vows. I mean it sincerely. We just don't call it that. When you learn to make a cake, if you wrote down every tiny instruction that you received, every tiny instruction, you'd have two lists. One would be a list of things you refrain from doing, and one would be a list of things you decide you will do. In Buddhism, we call that vows and commitments. You drive a car, you make a whole series of lists, and you learn them so sincerely. You would never, you learn, you vow, you write it down. I vow I will never put the foot on the brake at the same time as the accelerator. You vow that so totally that you forget it. It becomes automatic. That's a vow. That's what a vow means. It's a decision to refrain from something. And why would you do that? Because that's a method of driving a car properly. How to write down all the methods of driving a car. It's a series of things not to do and a series of things to do. Well, that's what you're doing, becoming a person, becoming a happy person. You refrain from a series of things. You don't kill, don't steal, don't lie. And then you do a series of commitments. You'll do this and do that and do this. That's how you turn yourself into a happy person. Same as that. Same as a car driver. Same as a cook. So we don't think of it that way. We think of it as religion and squashed and punishment and reward. This dualistic nonsense. So it's obvious that the mind plays a role. So when you decide every day, if you decide, if you define yourself as a car driver, then you're keeping your commitments to drive a certain way, and you're keeping your vows to not do other things. And it's so internalized, it's automatic now. The same here. So when you decide you're a Buddhist and you take vows, you've decided you're a non-harming person. You define yourself in terms of a non-harming person, and you decide, I will never kill, and I will never steal, and I will never lie. You define yourself in those ways. As they say in the, Alex Berzin says in the teachings, it says something like vows are like this subtle energy that's visible to clairvoyance, because you're molding your behavior. You molding your mind into the shape of a non-harming person. You don't just occasionally not harm. You define yourself as a non-harming person by taking vows to not kill, not steal, not lie. It's so tremendous. You should be blissed out to think of such a magnificent thing that you have decided to do. That's how you mold yourself into a happy person now, and especially in the future. By living in vows of non-harming. It's so incredible, so amazing, so tremendous. You should be blissed out with joy for yourself that you define yourself as a non-harming person. That's what living in vows means. Incredible. 24 hours a day, they are informing your mind. And if you don't define yourself as a non-harming person, it's only occasionally that you meet an ant. You might think, oh, I better not kill it. It's only then that you do an action of non-killing. Whereas if you live in vows of non-killing, 24 hours a day, they're in your mind stream. You're purifying your mind. You're putting atomic bombs under every second under the tendencies to kill. That's the quickest method of turning yourself into a happy future person. If you live in vows of not harming, just one of them, non-killing, then the result will be a human body. Within that human body, you'd wake up next life with no thought to kill, because you purified that tendency. You'd live it, you'd wake up in that life, and throughout that life, you will never get killed or die young. And the environment would never harm you. The 4 ways that karma ripens: a type of rebirth, a tendency, an experience, and the environment. Look at our lives now. 7 billion humans, but look at the humans. Most humans have a tendency to kill because they haven't purified all aspects of the killing. Many humans get killed or die young. Millions of humans get sick every day. They're all the fruit of killing. Whereas if you live in a vow not to kill, you won't have any of those results because you purified them. Because you programmed your mind to not kill. And it pervades your being. It's practical, it's logical psychology, not religion. We have to think of it like that. Just being good is not enough, Lama Zopa says. Living in vows is so powerful. Buddha says psychologically is so powerful. You define yourself in terms of being a non-harming person. It's incredible. It's mind-blowing to think that way. It's like if you never think I'm a driver, then you'll never drive a car. And when you do get into a car, you won't know what to do. But if you define yourself as a car driver, you've internalized all the instructions and you'll do it automatically. Of course you will. You prove it, you practice it every day. Same here. You just occasionally don't harm. It's not enough. Define yourself in terms of a non-harming person by living in vows of non-harming. You're the beneficiary. Sure, the rats and roaches will have a party, as Lama Zopa says, you live in peace. But you are the beneficiary of vowing not to kill. You're turning yourself into a non-harming, non-killing person. And karmic results will be you will not be harmed or lied to or stolen from or everything else. That's how you produce a happy person in the future. Not punishment, it's not reward. There's no one up there running and there's no punishment. This is the most superstitious conspiracy theory you ever have. Creator is a conspiracy theory, not being rude. Someone's behind everything. It's meaningless, Buddha says. Don't need anybody running anything. There's no conspiracy theory. There's no conspirator. We do it ourselves. We're the boss. Don't look anywhere else except here. So doing your practice at the end of the day, we'll call it so-called Vajrasattva. What do you think you're doing? In your mind, you're regretting anything you've done wrong. Why, Robina? Because I don't want future suffering. I regret having killed. Why, Robina? Because I don't want to mold my mind into a suffering person. I regret having done that. Then whom can I turn to? I rely upon the Buddha. It's my doctor. Then I have compassion for those I've harmed. Then I imagine purifying, and then I vow not to do it again. I mean, how incredible. Putting atomic bombs under those tendencies. You're purifying all your mistakes when you drove the car, so you can drive a car perfectly tomorrow. So we're living in vows and doing purification at the end of the day. You have the most tremendously powerful practice you can't even imagine. I don't care if you can watch your fucking breath for 49 eons. I don't give a fucking hell. It's got nothing in comparison with doing this. Screw your breath. Molding your mind into the mind of a non-harming, happy person. Wow, how incredible. It's up to us if we want happiness or not. We have to create it. We can mold our mind into any shape we like, as Lama Zopa says. And then by living and having all these tendencies, these commitments and vows, we're molding our behavior as well. Because our behavior is an expression of the mind. And vows are all about behavior. They inform then your mind. So intelligent. It's practice every day. If you would have that kind of practice every day, living in vows, practicing every day, purifying your mind, doing your purification, watching your mind throughout the day, unpacking, unraveling, this is being a Buddhist. Wow, amazing. You're the beneficiary of all of this. This is the wisdom wing. And then, of course, what can't you be a lovely person to be around? Wow, people will love to be near you. You never get lonely. Wouldn't get depressed, wouldn't be jealous, wouldn't be anxious, you wouldn't be fearful. Because you're molding your mind into a happy person. Why don't we have some apple tart? Was apple tart?
Apple.
Who?
Apple tart.
Apple tart. Maybe, okay. Maybe any questions first? I mean, raving on here. Any questions, any thoughts, any discussions? Huh? Anything to say, Pete? Nothing? Yes, go.
Hi, okay, I can refrain from harming sentient creatures, but my thoughts are all not always pure. So if we think of, thought, word, and deed as sowing seeds of,
Do we need a microphone here? Where's the microphone?
Sure, yeah.
Please, Des, thank you. Start again, go, say it again. Yeah, you can refrain from harming others, that's good, yes, that's fun, incredible.
we think of karmic seeds are sown through thought, word, and deed.
Right,
If
yeah.
I have harming thoughts.
That's right, we all do, yes, but that's right, so it's one step at a time, isn't it? But the first most powerful one is the behavior. You've got to control the servants of your mind first.
Servants.
The servants of your mind is your body and speech.
Okay.
That's look at the world and look what does harm on the earth. It's all comes from the mind, but look at what does harm on the planet. It's the body, isn't it? And the speech. Can you imagine everybody controlled their body and speech? What a miraculous world. And to put atomic bombs. So that's the first level of practice. That's why, and vows are about that. Are controlling your behavior. And they're going to manifest in 4 ways in the future: of a type of body, which is behavior, a type of mental tendencies, because you're not killing. It's going to be experience, you won't be harmed by others. And the environment, you'll be fat and healthy and live a long age. Even bare minimum, forget nirvana, forget bodhicitta, forget Buddhahood. Just ordinary happiness is the fruit of, is good behavior. Then the mind then comes, well, already if you can control the behavior, then we can begin to work on the mind. Isn't it?
Okay.
And so of course the mind's the most advanced one. That's the most difficult, and that's why we can't have single point of concentration. But beginning to control our behavior first is incredible. That puts atomic bombs on the tendencies in the mind, because tendencies are in the mind. The tendency to kill is in the mind. So by controlling not killing, you control the tendency as well, don't you? Can't help it. So it's a massive, and I think in the West we don't realize is we go on about meditating all the time. It's fine to meditate, but we don't see the power of living in vows and controlling behavior. It just sounds like restriction, walking around being miserable. But it's powerful. So one step at a time. Don't you think so? Don't you? And be happy and delight. And then they do the inner work. You've got the space now to do that inner work of being your own therapist, unpacking and unraveling your mind and learning to live with it. And no, it's all full of shit and everything, but it's okay. We've also got the virtuous ones, and we're doing the inner work. It's so fantastic. And be happy with that. So letting the thoughts run rampant is the problem, not having the thoughts themselves. You and I could sit down and we can discuss, I can be telling you all about my crazy anger. That's not being angry. That's working on my anger. But if I sit there and just rave on about my anger and believe in it, that's being angry. There's a big difference. So we shouldn't be scared of our thoughts. Do you understand?
Yes.
It's okay. What else, people? We've got to be glad to see our thoughts. Every smelly, shitty thought in there. Welcome it. Bring it on, Do you understand?
Yes.
What else, people? Somebody else? Yes, go, darling. Talk to me. Then okay. In a minute, Elijah. Hang on. Not you, minute, darling. Yes.
I've talked about this to you before.
Yeah.
I just
go.
want to get it straight.
Just ask the question.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So ants count. Everything counts. Everything that's.
Sentient beings. So the question is?
The question is, I have these little moths in the house.
Yeah, that's right. We live with
These,
it.
called,
That's right.
cabinet moths, something like that.
Go, just ask the question. Cut to the chase and
They're
ask the
very
question.
small. I don't like them in the house.
I understand that.
Uh,
What's the question, darling?
I
Just ask a
don't- I
question.
don't kill them, but I do set a trap.
Just ask the question.
What
It's
should
all
I
statements.
do? What should I do?
Okay,
to these
okay,
moths? What should
okay,
I,
okay,
should I throw the
okay,
trap out, I
Okay,
guess?
okay, darling, listen. The first thing, okay. You want to be a happy person or not? Are you trying to be happy?
Yes.
Okay. And so you realize that whatever you think and do and say is part of the process of you becoming a happy or suffering
Right.
person. Then you do your best. Jesus fucking God, you do your best to try and control your body, speech, and mind. One bloody step at a time, please.
Well,
That's it. That's the answer.
if I throw the trap out, will that be accelerated?
Excuse me, darling, please, it's not moralistic, it's not judgment. Just
No, I
try
understand
one
that.
step at a time to do your best not to harm sentient beings for your benefit. To do your best to not harm sentient beings for your benefit. To do your best not to harm sentient beings for your benefit. For your benefit. It's your practice to do your best, to do our best, to do our best, given that life is quite difficult and sentient beings come along and attack us, you know. So we do our best. And then when you realize that by doing your best, you can help change the experiences. When you do the purification practice, when you do regretting of killing, then that prevents you from the things happening, because karma is very dynamic. So if every day you do purification and try to do your best not to harm others, don't be surprised they stop coming to harm you. Things are dynamic. Karma is very dynamic. Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's sort of a bit like if you give up being an alcoholic, you stop running into alcoholics. It changes things. Do you understand?
That's good news.
What?
That's good news.
Yeah, that's
what
right,
you
exactly.
just
So by
said.
changing your mind and we do our best. No one's up there judging us. It's all right. We just do our best. To be conscious of these things is like a miracle, you know. One step at a time. Yes, Elijah. He's gone.
Thank you,
Where are
Venerable.
you?
Here.
Go, sweetheart. Talk to me.
So I'm just wondering, like, as a layperson, are there any vows that we can take,
No,
like,
can't hear you at all.
on as a
No, you're
layperson?
silent.
Uh,
If I got my bit, it's mine.
can you hear me now?
Hang on a sec. Go, darling.
First of all, thank you, Venerable,
We're
and
doing something here. No, wait. It hasn't happened yet.
Can't hear him. Go like this and just.
can you hear me?
Can't hear you. So. Wait, we're doing something here, okay? Nothing.
He's muted.
He is muted now, so he wasn't before. Try and unmute now. Talk now. See if you can talk now.
Can you hear me now?
No, can't hear anything.
Okay.
You could type it, you can put it in the chat.
Oh yeah.
Can't hear you, Elijah.
He's typing.
Can you hear any of us, Venerable Robina?
One, two, 1, 2. Can you hear us?
Venerable Robina, can you hear any of us on
Hang on a
Zoom?
second.
No, it doesn't seem like she can.
Try now.
Hello?
Okay, there we go.
Okay, cool.
Come on.
Thank you, Venerable. So I was just wondering, as a layperson, are there any vows that we can regularly take? Maybe as like a 1-day vow, or, like generally we don't kill or steal, but are there any more vows that we can take for a
Wait,
day?
sorry, wait, sorry, wait, what? Sorry. Do you have vows of not killing and not stealing in those?
Well, I guess maybe not formally, but
Well, that's what a vow is. It's a formal thing.
okay.
So if you like the idea of being a Buddhist, and then maybe you take refuge, and that's where you formally, because we're talking, I mean, not killing isn't anybody can make that decision, but here it's a set of vows coming from the Buddha. You plug into the power source when you decide to take refuge with some, you choose a person and you take refuge and you do the vows. You repeat after them, from now until the day I die, I will not kill. And you put these vows into your mind stream. So you can take those
Okay, thank you.
whenever you feel ready. I mean, that's up to you to decide. When there's this, do you understand me?
Yes.
They're the main ones. No killing, no stealing, no lying. They're the main ones of not harming ones. Half a dozen of them, that's it.
Right.
They're the most powerful. You understand, sweetheart?
Yes, thank you.
Good, okay. Yes, V.
Me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can, darling. Yes, I can.
Thank you. Hello. So it's about the rats and the mice and the pest control thing. Again, it's a big question. So
Yeah.
what that lady said. So I was thinking, well, the least I can do is just make sure that I have actually made the effort. That is, put little balls with peppermint oil, made noise, bang a few drums, let them know that they're not going to be getting on there before I actually have to resort to killing them. So then if I sit down and try and do a purification practice,
Well,
I'm thinking,
hang on a second, hang on. Which creatures are you wanting to kill?
the rat that is nesting next to my bed under the floorboards in my flat.
And you can't find, so then, okay. I mean, okay. So you mean you can't find a way to stop, you can't find a way to make the rats go away?
No, and I want to, and that idea of killing one rather than killing six, kind of nipping it in the bud as well.
Why can't, but if you can kill one, means you can make them go away.
Exactly. And I think it's the only way because I'm living in a block of flats. I'm not staying in the bedroom anymore.
You make them, but I'm asking you, why can't you make them go away? I'm just curious. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't.
That's okay. That's a good question. Because it doesn't seem to be going away.
It's what, darling?
It's not going away. It's nesting. It's coming back.
Kill it. If you can kill it, that means the food you put down on the ground gets to where the rat is. So
Yeah.
where the rat is, you can find a way to remove the rat. No, you can't do that.
That is exactly what I thought, but I live in a block of flats, and what's happening is when I'm complaining about it, they're intimidating there, they having a go at me, so I'm getting involved in all of that upset as well, and that's
darling,
messing
listen. Okay, so okay. I mean, what? Okay. Are you wanting it? Okay. Are you telling me what you want to do, or you don't need my, you don't need my permission?
I'm saying, am I absolutely kidding myself? Am I deluding myself if I then sit and try to Vajrasattva practice or anything, or just live my day? Am I just kidding myself? Am I deluding myself that I actually don't want to harm? Is it, is it real? Because it has really messed my head up for a couple of years. I'm much better about it now, but it's like,
sorry, I'm a bit confused. What do you? Okay, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me.
no, it's okay. Forgive me
What do
too.
you mean? What has been messing your mind for a couple of years? This presence of this rat in your life? What are you saying?
Yeah, no, there was a problem. I live ground floor. There's a problem with mice, and I didn't want to kill them. And so I was using alternative methods, peppermint oil, just things that are going to putting incense very low on the ground, so it would annoy them, and they kind of think this isn't a comfortable place for me to live and go away.
So what's the point now? Then what's the problem?
The problem is that am I kidding myself? Am I just
I can't answer that. That's your question. I don't know. It's not my question. That's your
Okay.
question. I mean, we all have a lot. Okay. Do you like the idea of karma?
I don't understand it, but I know it's there. I don't understand it properly.
All the things I just said today, you didn't understand.
I did, yes. You explained them beautifully.
We create ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. And then if we understand karma, that whoever we meet, all the good things that happen, we created the cause for those good things to happen. All the bad things that happen, we created the cause. So if we don't want the bad things to happen, we have to try and purify them. I mean, we have to try and change things. So at least if you can't have control over whether these rats and mice live in your apartment block, I understand that. It's not always up to us. If you do this practice every day, like I said here, if you have the sincere wish every day not to harm, have you taken refuge? Do you live in vows or not?
I absolutely do, yes.
Okay, then. Well, if every day you do that, and every day you vow not to kill, and every day you purify your wish, and you have a wish not to harm, and not to steal, not to lie, not to kill, and if you purify every day and you do the regretting, which stops you from, these will help shift and you do your best. You do it sincerely and do your best. Don't lie to yourself. You don't pretend. You're not trying to fool anybody. You do your best. You just do your best. What else can you do except do your best?
Thank you for that energetic response. I really, really appreciate that.
Well
Thank you
done.
very much indeed. Thank
And
you.
meanwhile, have compassion for the rats and say prayers for the rats. And I'm not saying to kill them. I didn't say that. I'm not saying, I'm not telling you what to do, but have a courageous attitude of wishing not to harm and see where it takes you.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Venerable Robina,
Yes.
I would like to just
Who's
say
this person?
that,
Yeah, Ghostwater. Yes, Maggie.
that people for the ethical treatment of animals, known as PETA, they are believers in none harm of insects as well as animals. And they have on their website alternative methods that you can use, non-lethal methods. So that might be something that somebody would investigate. And also
Yeah,
feel free to call them on the phone, ask them for help.
that's
See
true,
what
Maggie.
they
Good
say,
point.
because
Good point, Maggie.
they will give you that kind of information.
Good point. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, darling.
You're
Maggie
welcome.
should know she lives in Florida, the land of preachers. Who else then? Who else has got a question? Thank you, Maggie.
You're
Who else-
welcome.
Who else has got a question? Who else got a question? No questions? Yes, darling. Microphone, please. Yeah. Go, sweetheart.
Venerable, thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, thank you so much for the teaching. So my question is just like, I feel like lately, because there are so many things happening, it's very difficult to do a daily practice. So usually,
Sorry, it's what? What is difficult?
it's very difficult to do a daily meditation practice, even for like 15
So who
to
cares if you
10
do a daily
minutes.
meditation practice? I'm more concerned that you try to watch your body, speech, and mind every second. What are you on about?
Yeah, so like sometimes I feel like after meditating or
What do you
purification,
mean by so what do you mean by meditating, darling?
like morning meditation, like a whole process of like, taking refuge and then meditating.
Oh, okay, you've little practice. So then go on then.
Yeah, so I feel like lately I just don't really have that much time for it. So I'm just curious, like if
What do you mean you don't have that much time for it? You decide to make what time you do for what you think is important, doesn't it? So don't tell me your problems.
it's like, yeah, it's like usually in the morning I try to like do it early in the morning, but sometimes there's just like,
Sweetheart, we don't need to, it's too personal. What's your question?
it's like in a world that's like so busy, what are the ways?
Excuse me,
to-
just stop being like a, what do you mean? Excuse me, just can you keep it practical? What's your question?
Yes, like how do you constantly remember all the
Mother of Jesus Christ. You're in charge of your own life, darling. If you want to be a mathematician, you're saying to me, oh, well, life is so difficult and I'm so busy doing my practice and I can't remember to, I just can't have time to study all the mathematical thoughts. And how do I have to try and remember how many thoughts to have in mathematics? It's so much information. Jesus Christ, will you totally decide what you want in life and then you prioritize it, okay? I don't know why you're asking me. You're a big girl. Decide what you want and prioritize. You're in charge of your life. All right? Can you manage that?
precious?
Can you manage that answer? You don't need to tell us your private life. Make a decision. You're in charge. And that's the answer. You make a decision and decide what you do. You decide what to prioritize in your life based on what you want. Do you understand me? That's it, darling. You're a big girl. Thank you so much. Next question. Next question. Any questions, people? Maybe it's time for apple pie. I can't believe we have one apple pie for all these people. I just don't believe it. What? Really a big one, isn't it? Go, darling. What's that?
I have a question. Can we do the practice? Oh,
No,
sorry.
wait. No,
Sorry.
just wait.
Oh.
Sorry, wait, darling. I mean, I think it's fairly obvious how you find a teacher. You go to the places and you meet teachers and until you find the ones you like. Same with yoga or mathematics and boyfriends. Do you understand? That's it, darling. But choose your gurus very carefully, as Babong Rinpoche says, because you're going to end up like them. Okay? So be wise. Do you understand? Good.
Wise. My teacher.
What, sweetheart?
I suppose that's the question. How do you be wise?
I can't hear you.
How do you be wise in picking a teacher? That's the question. Yeah.
Know the kind of person you want to become. That's it, sweetheart. Let's have apple tart. Yes, Paola. Paola, go.
Can you hear me, Venerable?
I can.
Thank you very much for your teaching. I wanted to ask you if I'm correct. When I first read when I first read the purification practice of Vajrasattva, it reminded me about the confession. When you go to a Catholic church to confession, then I thought the Vajrasattva practice is something that has to do with myself. It depends on myself, on my conscious decision not to harm, not to steal, not to lie, etc. And I thought about the fact that the more I practice, the more I have virtuous thoughts, the better being I can become. So, is it correct? So this Vajrasattva practice has hasn't anything to do with a confession, with a Catholic confession, if you know what I mean.
But it's very similar, isn't it? What are you talking about? The difference is in the Catholic one, you have to ask you ask God to forgive you.
Yeah.
As your creator.
Yeah.
That's all.
So you rely on a God, whereas in the Vajrasattva practice, it has to do with your behavior. It has to do with the fact that you have to control your mind, your body, and your speech. So it depends. It all depends on you.
That's
Is it
right.
correct?
I'm going to make you answer your own question. Paola, you decide. I'm not going to answer your question. You answer your own question. All right? Thank you, Paola. Let's have. I can't share apple tart with you people in Italy. I'm sorry. She's in Italy.
I'm very happy to share.
You're going to have to rejoice.
your
We're going to have
words.
apple pie here. So listen, I'm not going to do the practice. No, I'm not going to do the practice. Well, we sort of did it already. Oh, bloody hell, you people. We'll do 3 minutes, okay? We'll do the thoughts. Very simple. We do the thoughts. Very simple. It's just simply your mind. It's be very natural. So first step is regret, and think to yourself, it's like this practice is being your own friend, okay? So the first step, that you finish your day like this, you regret. You say to yourself, you know what, Robina, I regret having, and you say a list of a few things you've done that have harmed others, right? This life, and then you can think anything I've ever done since beginning this time to harm others. You know what, Robina, I regret having done these because I don't want the future result, because I'm sick of suffering. I don't want to program my mind with rubbish. I regret from the depths of my heart, and all your negative thoughts as well, your unhappy stuff, the stuff that we're so familiar with. You regret, you simply think, I'm sick of suffering. It's like kindness for yourself. It's like compassion for yourself. Think like that, right there. As we said, the thoughts, right there. You regret because you're sick of suffering. I'm tired of this suffering. So whom can I turn to? Where's my doctor? So we imagine the Buddha above our crown. He's our doctor. He gives us the medicine. We take the medicine. And then we have compassion for those we've harmed. The first one's like compassion for ourselves. This is like now compassion for those we've harmed. We think we're going to regret for their sake as well. And then we just think, we visualize nectar coming from the Buddha. We visualize it. It's our mind. It's our mind imagining this nectar coming, completely purifying us. As we say the mantra 3 times, or we'll say even 1 time. Vajrasattva samaya manu palaya vajrasattva teno patita dido mebawa sutoshayo mebawa suposhayo mebawa anurakta mebawa sarvasiddhi membrayatsa sawa karma sutsa me sidam shriyam kuru hung ha 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 ho bhagavan sarva tatagata vajramami musa vajrabhama sama sattva ahung pe. And the Vajrasattva mantra is Sanskrit, but it's about emptiness, and emptiness is the most powerful purification of all. So imagine our mind completely purified, all full of this blissful nectar, all the imprints of all the nonsense since the beginning of this time disappeared into space. Not one atom left. And the 4th step, the resolve. I'm going to do my best to not kill, not harm, not steal, not lie. Do my best to harness my behavior, to do my best to control my mind, because I only want happiness and I don't want suffering. And we imagine now the Buddha dissolves into us, and completely the energy of the Buddha, the energy of our Lama, and our own energy, body, speech, and mind completely become one. And then just for about a minute, you stop, you imagine your mind pervading the universe, no thoughts, radiant, clear, light, blissful, no thoughts. vast, clear, no thoughts. Think this is my true nature. My true nature, mine in its nature, is pure, radiant, vast, clear, blissful. That's our true nature. Identify with that. Jamchub sem chogren poche, ma ke panam ke gyuchi, ke panyam pa me payang, gong ne gong du, So that's it, people. Keep going. Never give up. Never give up. Never give up. Be optimistic. Be positive. Know we can create ourselves. Know we're in charge. And yeah, that's it. And rejoice. That's it, everybody. Okay, darlings. Now we can have apple pie. And